In breaking news tonight, raging wildfires race out of control across much of Okanagan County. A thick pall of smoke from the fires is leaving dangerous driving conditions for motorists along Highway 97. 250,000 acres have now been charred by the record blaze, and the smoke cloud can be seen for nearly 50 miles. The cost of the fire suppression efforts is expected to exceed $100 million, but it is likely that the replacement of damaged infrastructure and the replacement of personal property could top that figure by as much as 10 times. Early estimates indicate that as many as 250 homes may have burned in Okanagan County, and perhaps only half of those will be covered by insurance. In some cases, entire neighborhoods have been reduced to charred rubble and smoldering ashes by the blaze. Power crews from across the Northwest worked feverishly to restore power to nearly 3,700 customers. Driving through this scorched landscape is like the scene from a war zone. You're confronted with mile after mile of staggering losses: homes, businesses, vehicles, personal belongings, all gone. One of the most gruesome tragedies of the fire was the loss of countless livestock in the Chilliwack Valley, southwest of Malott. Along this stretch of county road, nearly 250 prize Angus cattle lay where they had fallen, overcome with the smoke, exhaustion, and the flames. Some of the cattle became entangled in barbed wire fences while trying to flee the flames. Others perished in a box canyon where they were unable to escape up the steep slopes. Personnel from Okanagan Public Health and the Washington Department of Agriculture spent several days attempting to identify the carcasses. Each body was identified with a unique number, photographed and recorded with GPS data loggers to ensure that each one would be counted. While the brand inspectors searched the carcasses for any identifying tags or brands, Department of Transportation crews set about clearing an area for a burial pit. Okanagan County Public Works and Gebbers Farms also contributed equipment and operators in order to complete the task of burying the carcasses. The operator from Washington DOT made quick work of opening up the first burial pit. While the first excavation was completed to a depth of 8 feet, other DOT personnel were collecting the carcasses from along the county road and hauling them in a dump truck to the burial site. After lying exposed for over a week in temperatures exceeding 100 degrees, the carcasses had become bloated and rotting. As load after load of carcasses filled the pit, workers struggled to maintain their composure despite wearing masks in their enclosed cabs. At last, the final load was delivered to the first pit. As the equipment began covering the carcasses with 3 feet of soil, the workers finally gained some respite from the awful stench. But there were still plenty more to be buried. At the second site in the box canyon, crews were already busy clearing debris to make way for the carcasses to be buried. Bucket after bucket of horribly charred and mutilated corpses made their way into the massive trench. With 2 excavators and a front-end loader working together, progress was swift in the box canyon. After hours of miserable working conditions, crews finally completed the task, filling the trench, and began the process of burying the last of the carcasses. With the last few buckets of earth poured into place, the gruesome task of burial was finally completed. But although the primary objective had been achieved, there would be other, more lasting impacts from the project. Already baked dry by the blistering summer heat, the soil had now been churned into a fine powder. Every step in the flour-like soil sank 3 to 4 inches, choking everything in a layer of fine grit. driving through the deep ruts sent up billowing clouds, forcing drivers to stop and turn on windshield wipers in order to see. Clogged air filters and fouled intakes would be just a few of the symptoms experienced by the vehicles operating in these severe conditions. As the dust settled and the smell of death slowly dissipated from the Chilloust, the weary crews loaded equipment and headed home, glad that their part in the wildfire recovery was over. You've been watching in-depth coverage of the Okanagan wildfires on KOU News, news that'll knock you out.